Hello and welcome to the 2023 Melbourne EV Show. Here we have a heap of the latest electric and electrified cars from a wide variety of manufacturers. So come with me for a tour and let's take a closer look. We'll go in alphabetical order, so if there's a particular maker you're interested in, then check out the chapters below to skip ahead. And if there's a certain car you want more information on, watch for the pop-ups that will be either a review or a more detailed walk around. So we'll start here with Alfa Romeo. And the EV show isn't just about electric cars, but electrified cars. And currently, the Tonale SUV is available as a 48-volt mild hybrid, but a plug-in hybrid will join it in Australia later this year. This teams a 1.3 litre engine with a pair of electric motors to give you around 60-70 k's of EV range, but still with the flexibility of petrol should you need it. It also gives you a heap more power, but comes with around a $20,000 price premium. Now we're here at Audi where the big news is the Q8 e-tron. Essentially, it's the midlife facelift for Audi's electric SUV, but it goes a bit further than that by more closely aligning it with the existing Q8 range. There are some styling tweaks, but the main difference is the larger 114 kilowatt-hour battery, which lifts maximum range to around 450 k's. A triple motor SQ8 variant with around 370 kilowatts is also coming in the near future. Also here on the Audi stand is the e-tron GT, which is essentially Audi's version of the Porsche Taycan. Two variants are available, the GT and the RS GT you see here, which can hit 100 k's an hour in just 3.2 seconds. The Cupra Born is one of the more efficient EVs on the market with a claimed range of more than 500 kilometres, and it's a figure that's actually pretty achievable in the real world. With rear-wheel drive and a 0 to 100 time of around 7 seconds, it's actually a pretty entertaining steer too. This cute little thing is the Fiat 500e, which has only just launched in Australia. Obviously its looks are evolutionary, but underneath it's all changed with a 42 kilowatt-hour battery pack that gives around 300 kilometres of range. Now it does cost more than $50,000, but if we hop inside, we'll see that it's no longer necessarily a cheap city car anymore. We've got some nice materials, the flat floor gives it much more space, and the tech is up to date. It's still a lot of money for a small car though. Right next to it, we have one of the first real EV hot hatches, the Abarth 500e. This can hit 100 k's an hour in 7 seconds and definitely isn't one for introverts. Not just because of the colour, but it's got a sound imposer, which means you won't be passing in silence. Another small electric car that's recently arrived in Australia is the GWM Ora, though in the middle, it's bigger than it looks. It costs around 40 grand, but is similarly spec'd to the Fiat with around 300 k's of range, though the higher spec versions increase this by about 100 kilometres. Arguably the most exciting car here at the EV show is the Hyundai IONIQ 5N, which sets new standards for the brand in terms of power, performance and price. How about these numbers? 478 kilowatts, 0 to 100 in 3.4 seconds, 260 k's an hour and $111,000 plus on-road costs. It's also designed specifically to handle racetrack use with a couple of unusual features. It can mimic the sound of an i30N as well as the dual clutch gear shifts, making it feel like a regular petrol performance car. We'll see how well it works when we finally drive it, but for now, it's a pretty cool thing. The other big news here at Hyundai is our first look at the new Kona Electric. It's a much bigger car than its predecessor, the batteries are bigger, and it now has vehicle-to-grid capability, meaning the power can go out as well as in. Another side of electric vehicles is classic car conversions. Jaunt is a Melbourne firm which specialises in Land Rovers, and this classic 110 has a rebuilt Tesla drive unit with all-wheel drive, a 90 kilowatt-hour battery, and 350 kilowatts of power, which means a 0 to 100 time of 5 seconds. The biggest thing on the Kia stand, both literally and figuratively, is the EV9, the brand's new flagship SUV. Pricing hasn't yet been announced, but it's expected to start around $100,000, rising to around $130,000 for the top spec. A lot of money, but then it's got a lot of everything really. A lot of power, almost 300 kilowatts for the dual motor variants, A lot of equipment, a lot of tech, and a lot of space. Now, what are a pair of McLarens doing at an EV show? Well, the new Artura supercar is a plug-in hybrid, but unlike most of the other cars here, it primarily uses the battery to improve performance. This thing can hit 200 k's an hour in just 8.3 seconds. But it also has a pure electric range of around 30 k's, so if you're just heading to the shops or out for dinner, you don't even need to fire up the engine to get there. Peugeot has 5 cars here on display, but I'm going to concentrate on a couple. The first being the 308 plug-in hybrid. See, Peugeot isn't doing a GTI version of the new 308, or at least it hasn't yet. But the PHEV, and yes, I'm going to call it a PHEV, not a PHEV because it sounds better, kind of fills that role with 165 kilowatts and 360 newton meters and a 0 to 100 claim of 7.5 seconds. Yet it can also do around 50 k's in pure EV mode. On the complete other end of the scale is the e-Partner, which is an all-electric delivery van. Obviously, it's not going to work for long haul, but if you're doing lots of short urban trips with maybe a quick top up at lunch, it's an interesting option that will save on fuel and servicing costs. Last, but far from least, is the new Polestar 3, which only had its first local showing a few days ago. It's a serious statement of intent at around $150,000 on road, but it comes with up to 380 kilowatts and 910 newton meters, as well as a maximum range of more than 600 k's. The outside looks great, but let's have a look here on the inside. Unlike the Polestar 2, which is handicapped by being based on a petrol architecture, the Polestar 3 is all new, so we've got flat floors and heaps of space. It's also got this absolutely enormous portrait infotainment screen, which runs the very latest Google-based operating system. So, is it any wonder the Polestar currently has thousands of expressions of interest for this thing? The Melbourne EV Show is on all weekend, so if you're local, come on down and check it out. But if you're watching this at a later date, then hopefully you've enjoyed this quick tour, and let us know your favourite car in the comments below. Thanks for watching.